welcome. Today's very much about looking at how we can integrate Maker's Empire into our practice. So we're going to hopefully be able to have a chance to talk a bit about that and jump into the dashboard and also jump into the app. So it's wonderful if you can follow along on your device. It just makes the session more interactive, and it also helps you to work out whether you've got any questions or comments along the way. I'm very happy for you to turn your mics on and ask me any questions as we go, or if you feel more comfortable just popping it in the chat, that's another option too. And Abigail will keep track of that for me so I can answer those questions. So just a little bit about me. So my background is in teaching. So I've worked in a range of public schools across the system as a classroom teacher and as a leader. Then I've done some work in the education department around curriculum development. And then I spent quite a number of years in cultural organisations, places like the museum and the state library, etc. And now I'm very lucky to be the Director of Learning here at Maker's Empire. So it's lovely to join you all in some learning today. And as you can see, I've got my little avatar there as a way of introducing myself. And for those of you that are familiar with Maker's Empire, I'm sure you all know what an avatar is. Character that moves you through the app. So in terms of introductions, I'm really keen to hear from the people that are online today about whether you're new to Maker's Empire or whether you're already using it, because that will help shape a little bit about what I focus on today. So if you are brand new to Maker's Empire, if you could use the React tools and just perhaps put a smiley face or a thumbs up or something, Abigail, let me know a bit of the mix. I've also tried to filter this presentation with lots of examples of Maker's Empire designs in action so that you can see that as well.
It looks like we've got a bit of a mix with 4 newbies by the looks.
Okay. So that's great. That's fine. I will make sure that I address things, but if you feel like I'm going too fast, please just ask questions along the way. And the other option for you to know is that I'm always very happy to organise follow-up sessions following these if you'd like to have a one-on-one or a staff conversation as well. All right, so our plan today is to focus on integrating it into our programs. But to be able to do that successfully, that means being able to use our teacher dashboard really well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and show you in there and show you some of the features of the dashboard. And then I'm going to really sort of take a deep dive into what we call our challenge courses, which are like our units of work that you can access that are curriculum aligned, and show you how you might integrate one of our courses into your practice, look at some of the curriculum links, and then I've done a bit of a map to show you the sort of breadth of challenge courses that we have at Maker's Empire and how you might be able to use those across curriculum. And then I'm actually really keen to hear your input on what you'd like to see developed next. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then to finish off with, I've got a few other suggestions about ways you can integrate Maker's Empire into your programs across the curriculum. So that's our plan for today. So for those of you that are new, just a little bit about Maker's Empire. So we are an EdTech company and we're based here in Adelaide in Lot 14, where a lot of startup companies sit, and we are we're like a CAD software program designed specifically for primary age students. But the idea behind our software is that we're wanting children to become creators, innovators and problem solvers so they can make their world better and contribute to their own lives. So that's our goal, and our software and our tools enable that to happen. And what we're trying to develop is children's creative confidence, and we do that through design thinking and the design thinking process. So for those of you unfamiliar with Maker's Empire, this part's really important. We have an app, which is where the students do their creative design work, and then we couple that with a teacher dashboard. So the teacher dashboard is web-based, and that's the part that you use to manage your classes, assign learning tasks, and access some of the resources of Maker's Empire. And the students use the app. So the app is like downloaded from the App Store, and that goes onto all of your devices at school. So they work sort of concurrently with each other. So let's just have a little chat about the dashboard. So to get onto the dashboard, you actually just go to our website, which is makersempire.com. And from there, you can see there's a button called Teacher Sign In, and that's where you can enter your username, which is your email address the first time, and a password that you would have had if you're setting up an account. I'm going to actually jump straight into the dashboard now and show it to you in real time. I'll just bring that up. This is what the dashboard looks like when you enter. And I'm sitting in an account at the moment called Demo School on purpose because I've got some things that I want to show you. So I'm using a kind of dummy demo account. But if you were logged on from your school, you would have a special product key here, which is your school number and then your school's name here. And all of your school data would be sitting here in this dashboard. So this becomes very important to you because this is where you can manage all sorts of things. Today, I'm going to show you just very briefly where you would go if you're brand new and you wanted to set up classes and add students to those accounts. So we have a menu down the side here, and if you want to do this along with me, that's great. You can scroll down to Class Management and then open up Classes. And in there, you will get this page that looks a little bit like this, and it's got these 3 columns here. The first column is where you add your classes in your school. The second column is where you add your students to that class. And then the third column is the work that belongs to a particular student that you've highlighted in your class. It's very straightforward, but setting it up, it takes a little bit of time in getting your students entered, but you only have to do that once. And once they're in the system, they stay in there, and they're quite easy to move at the end of every year to set up new classes. So to add a class, if you're brand new, all you need to do is click on this plus symbol here in this first column, and it will bring up a little box like you can see on screen. You just need to give your class a name that means something to you. You can imagine if you've got quite a lot of teachers in your school using Maker's Empire, you need an identifier for you and your class. So you give it a name. It might be your name and your year level or something like that. Pop in the year level or grade. Keep the class type on home because we manage Maker's Empire by assigning every student to a home class. You can set up extra classes, things like lunchtime clubs and things, which is where you'd use the extra button. But for Maker's Empire to work effectively and to track your students' progress, they all need to be attached to a home class. So you keep it on home, and then you just click Create Class, and that is it. That class that you have created will appear in this very first list here. The next very important step for you as classroom teacher is to star your classes, and that becomes important later when we're assigning learning tasks, etc., to your students. So make sure that you just click on that little star at the beginning, and then you know that they're your classes. If you're someone who works across the school and you're attached to more than one class, you can star all of the classes that are relevant to you. and then you'll only see the data from those classes. And then once your class is started, so I'll give you an example like this class here, demo class Sharon. Now I want to add students to that class. So to do that, I click on the class, which will jump it up to the top. And then I go to the next column where it says add students. This is where I can populate the students that belong to that class. As you can see on my demo account here, I've already got 8 students in my demo class, and they've already done 280 designs. And so you can get some of that data just by looking at your demo class. And you can see the students that are sitting in my class already. But if I wanted to add a new student, I just do the same thing as I did in the first column. Click on Add Student. And I give my student a made-up username and a made-up password. You don't really need to put in email. That doesn't become very important, but it is very useful to have their real name there so that if they have an unusual username, you know the student that username's attached to. The real names only appear in this dashboard and the students don't see the dashboard. And we do comply with all privacy agreements. And so none of those real names appear in the app when the students use it. But it's useful for you in the back end to have their real name, select their class that they belong to, and then click on Add Student, and that student's name will appear. So that's one way you can add students. That's adding them one by one. If you're familiar with these sorts of dashboards in other programs, then you know that there's other shortcut ways to do it as well. So the other way you can add students is to download a CSV import, which is just a spreadsheet. I'll just show you so you can see what it looks like. So it's actually an Excel spreadsheet. It'll bring up all of the instructions on how to do that for you. But you just click on the download, pop into your downloads button, a spreadsheet like this, and you just populate it with your student's first and last name, the class that you want them to go into, your name, and then this spreadsheet will generate usernames and passwords for you. So you just save it and then upload it into Makers Empire, and your whole class will come in that one upload. And we really don't want setting up classes to get in the way of all the amazing creativity that you can do in Makers Empire. So if for any reason you find this part really challenging, all you need to do is send your class list with the name of the class at the top to us at makersempire.com, and we'll do it for you and send you back login cards for the students just to make your life a little bit easier. So the login cards are good to know about, and that's the last thing I'll show you in class management. So I'll just jump back to where the classes are. Once your class is set up, you can see that at the end there's these 3 vertical dots there. And if you click on those, you get a few options for things. And one of the options is these class login cards. And they're really useful, especially if your students are brand new to Makers Empire and if they're quite young or find literacy challenging and just entering a username and a password is tricky, then class login cards are a fabulous way to get them onto your devices. So this is what a class login card looks like. It'll give you your students' names, their username and their password and their class. You can cut them up and give them to the students. You can, some teachers even laminate them so they've got them to use in every lesson if students are sharing devices, and keep a set for yourself too. So you've got a record, or if you've got really young students and you've got devices that you can scan with, you can actually enter that account via a QR code as well. So that's a very brief introduction to how you would kind of get your classes up and running, because what we want to get into today is all of the rich programming that we can do around it. So before I move into show you the challenge courses, did anybody have any questions about setting up classes?
No one's put anything in the
No
chat.
one's put anything? Okay.
But just one person has is quite confident at 3D printing, but he hasn't used Maker's Empire for a while. So hopefully, Justin, this gives you some ideas today.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm just running through the PowerPoint of what we've covered so far. Everything that I'm talking about, I have put into a slideshow, and you provide that after, don't you, Abigail? Yes. So if I'm covering something and you think, oh, I just can't remember what Sharon said, you can flip back to the PDF of this PowerPoint, and that will remind you of some things. So what we're going to have a little bit of a look at now is some of the learning programs that we create at Maker's Empire. And I'm really keen to show you our challenge courses, because if you're looking at integrating across the curriculum, these are wonderful resources for you. They are custom built at Maker's Empire, and we design them around themes that are relevant and aligned to curriculum, and we write them from K to 10. So no matter what year level you teach, there'll be something in these challenge courses for you. And essentially what a challenge course is a unit of work that can last anywhere from 1 or 2 sessions right through to a term of work. And I've just got a range of them up on the screen at the moment for you to sort of see the sorts of things that I'm talking about and the diversity of courses that we're developing. We create a new challenge course every term, so we're constantly building up a repertoire of these across all the year levels and curriculum areas. And what these challenge courses are designed to do is to expose students to design thinking so that they can solve a problem and develop their problem-solving skills. And they have these component parts that you'll find in every challenge course. So every challenge course has built into it some videos that we make at Maker's Empire that give students some content. Then they have often built-in quizzes, and these are where your little avatar jumps into like a little quiz show. And the idea behind the quizzes is just to reinforce the content that's in the videos. Then we have little what we call pro-training tutorials, which is where students are guided through a design that they have to make, and they're kind of taken through in a step-by-step process. And the idea of that is to kind of reinforce their skills of design. And then all challenge courses culminate in an open-ended design thinking challenge. So this is where the really rich design thinking comes in, where students have to take all that they've learned and all that you've researched around the topic and then solve a problem related to that topic. So when we have a look at them, that'll make a little bit more sense. What I might do is actually just take you back to the dashboard and show you where they are. And I've popped on here the pathway for you later. And so we can have a little look at them and see what they look like. All right. So to get to challenge courses, you were in class management before. Now you're going to scroll down to the tab that says student work, and then scroll down to challenge courses, and then click on the tab that says available. And what will come up is all of the available challenge courses we have. And there are many, as I said. They are what I was trying to say was that we have built in a new feature very recently. So for those of you that have been using Maker's Empire for a while, you may not be aware of this, but because we have so many now, we've put in a sorter where you can filter by your year level and your, say your K to 2 and subject. So you might go, what's in science for K to 2? And then it will bring up challenge courses that fit that description.
Sharon,
so that's
just a quick question. Are these aligned to the Australian curriculum?
All of them are aligned to the Australian curriculum. and all of them, many of them are also aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So when I open one up, I'll show you how they align. So I'm going to have a little, did you have a question?
Is there any plans to connect them to the essay curriculum?
Yes, there is. So what we do every year is, because South Australia is not the only state that keeps developing, new approaches and new curriculum frameworks. So at the end of every year, we have a look, because we write programs for students right across Australia and actually globally as well. Our audience is global, so we align it to all of those new curriculums at the end of each year. So yes, definitely aware of the upcoming new South Australian curriculum. At the moment, it's aligned to version 9 of the Australian curriculum. So I'll just show you an example of one. I'm going to use this one here just to kind of show you inside. It's called the Commissioner's Digital Challenge and the Commissioner's Space to Dream. So this has been developed in collaboration with the Commissioner for Children and Young People here in South Australia. And inside, when you click on details, it will show you an outline of a challenge course. So it gives you a little overview of what it's about. It gives you the year level that it's aligned to. It will give you a comprehensive teacher guide. So 90% of the challenge courses now have really comprehensive teacher guides. And inside those guides, you get some really detailed curriculum alignment. So I'll just show you an example of a guide. So this is for Space to Dream. Just might make that a little bit smaller so you can see it a bit better. You get an overview. You get an overview of all of the components inside the challenge course. You get links sometimes to the videos in high definition so you can watch them with your whole class. You get all of the curriculum links outlined from the Australian curriculum. You get suggested strategies on how to support students to work through that design thinking process when they get to the problem solving component of the challenge course at the end, step by step. What can you do at each stage of the design thinking process to support students? And then usually every teacher guide at the back has a whole lot of curated resources as well. So these are like a springboard to help you plan across your curriculum how you could embed these, but you can take it further. You can do as much or as little as suits your curriculum needs. So if you want your students to take this learning further, you can access a range of resources at the back in the teacher guide. So in terms of mapping, the learning objectives are written as a summary on this page, but if you go down to the design curriculum, we've actually mapped the design and tech outcomes really thoroughly against a Maker's Empire design curriculum and how they align to other curriculums. So you can see we've mapped to quite a number of international frameworks, but also curriculum frameworks across Australia. So for South Australian people, you would be using Australian Curriculum version 9 currently. And next year, this will say South Australian Curriculum. All right, and then all the components of the curriculum, of the challenge course, are also outlined just sort of down there on the side. So that's what a challenge course, I'll just open that up, looks like inside. I'll just show you, actually. I'll stay here. What I'll show you now is, okay, if you find one that you think is really relevant to your students and aligns beautifully with your curriculum, then in this dashboard, this is where you control what students see in the app. So if you want your students to do the challenge course, then you have to assign it to them. And the way you do that is just to guide yourself down to the Assign button. And it's pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. You just find your class, and this is why starring your class mattered earlier, because your classes will appear here that you've starred. So let's say I'm saying I want to assign something to demo class Sharon. All I then need to do is to slide across and find the challenge course that I want to assign to my students. So let's say I wanted them to have a explore colourful bubbles. Then I would all I'd have to do to assign it to my class is click that top button there. And that is it. You don't have to click save. You just click that top button. You do also have the option, because your students' names come up in that class, you can select specific students that you want to see that challenge course, but most of the time you're going to be assigning it to the whole class. So you'll just click on that top button there. And that's it. And then what that means is you can control here what your students see in the app. So you can take some off if you want to, and just click on the ones that you want the students to see and scroll across up here. All right, then the other feature that I'll quickly show you before we jump into the app and have a look at what a challenge course looks like is you also can monitor and assess their progress. And I think this is one of the really clever things that Makers Empire has developed through this dashboard. To do that, you just select your class again and you select your challenge course that you're monitoring. So I'm going to demo today with a challenge course called Be Well to Do Well. It's all around well-being. And the reason I'm choosing this one is because I know that this class have done this challenge course really well. And then I go search. And what that will do is bring up your class and all of the components that are inside that challenge course. And then at a glance, you can see how your class is tracking. And it's a bit like a traffic light system. If it's green, it means that your student's travelling really comfortably. If it's yellow, then it means they might need a little bit of extra support. And if it's red, it might be an alert to you that you might need to invest a little bit of time with them and support them. So it's really great to see at a glance how your students are tracking. You can hover over these things and click on them and get further information, like how accurate they were in their design work and how long they spent on things. You can see if they haven't started. So you can see that straight away I can see Rebecca Williams has not started this challenge course, and it may be that she's absent, but if she is at school and she hasn't started, that would be an alert to me as the teacher to go and have a chat with her and get her supported. The other nice thing in here is that when they get to that open-ended design challenge at the end of the course, you can actually open it here from the progress reports and show the students. So if I open Alexandra's, because I know that she's been working really hard on it, I can see that she's finished. I can click on that design and I can see it in detail about her design solution that she's come up with. They were challenged in this course to design something to support people's well-being, and Alexandra has designed a garden of tranquility, a place where, she feels that she can sit and be peaceful and, look after her well-being. So another new tool for people that aren't new to Makers Empire, this might be of interest to you if you haven't discovered it yet. We now have a new AI feature where you can get a bit of a review of your design using AI. So if I click on this design review button, I can go give me a standard review on Alexandra's design. And it will tell me a little bit about it, like, wow, look at your garden of tranquility. It's like a tiny vacation spot for tired toys. I love how you've created this peaceful little area with a big umbrella. So AI gives you a bit of an overview of the design that's been made, and then it gives some suggestions. Maybe you could add some colourful flowers or a small pond where tiny fish could swim. And you can see that these 3 suggestions that have been sent through have toggle on, toggle off, and you can actually send these to the student and they will appear in the app when they go in next time in their messages. The other thing you can do is even write your own prompts if you want to search for specific information using AI as a way. So it might be a useful tool to you if you're trying to analyse kind of the effectiveness of the design. Just might give you some tips. And the other great thing that Makers Empire do is they have kind of created this algorithm for complexity of a design, and it's called the effort score. So it's really based on how many shapes they've used, how many changes they've made to their design, how many edits they've done. And 99 is the highest effort score you can get. So Alexandra's design is pretty great, and you can see that she's invested 4 hours in it. So that gives you quite a lot of data in this back end about their final design solution and how they went. There's so much here in the back end I could show you. If you're exploring yourself and you see these 3 vertical dots, click on those because they give you other options for things. For example, I could send feedback to Alexandra and tell her how wonderful her design was and what I noticed that she did it well. I can give her tokens, which helps her buy more shapes in the app. Levels are up. I can print a report, etc. So there's an enormous amount of resources available to you in this teacher dashboard. All right, any questions about these challenge courses before I jump into the app and show you what one looks like? Feel free to throw it in the chat. So I'm in the app now, and all these challenge or courses come into this space called Maker World. So when your students first go into the app, and remember the app is the place where they create their 3D designs, they will come into this place called Challenge Central here in the middle. So if I click in there, then my little avatar will run into this space, and then all of the challenge courses that I've assigned to this student will show up here. So they'll only appear if I've assigned them. So there's Space to Dream, which is the one I assigned earlier. So if I open that up, you can see what a challenge course looks like inside. Do you remember me saying they have videos and quizzes and design tutorials? And the way they work is they're built into the app and the students essentially work through step by step. So here's a video example. Show you so you get a sense of them if you haven't used them before.
Hello, my name is Harrison, and I'm here to tell you about the Commissioner's Space to Dream Challenge. It's a wonderful challenge that teaches you all about the design thinking process. It was devised by former Children's Commissioner for South Australia, Helen Connolly.
So that's what the videos look like, and they get made by us. And you just met Harrison, who is a kind of upcoming performer here in Adelaide. I think he's a name to look out for. He's pretty amazing. So he will introduce the students to the challenge and they'll watch that video, and you can do that as a class or you can do that individually. And then once they've completed this video, then this next square will open up for the students. So these will actually be grayed out when you go in the first time. But then as they're done, they become white and available to the students. So they sort of open up one at a time. But I've already done this challenge course and that's why they're all available to me. So I'll show you the quiz. So they've done the video. Then they jump into a little quiz show and it checks their understanding of what they just watched in the video. So I'll ask them some questions. If they click on an answer and they get it right, it will say, well done, and it will give them some information. And then you just move on to the next question. If you click it and it's wrong, it will say, oh, here's some information, try again. And so it guides the students through. If you've got younger students, everything's got audio controls, so you've got options for it to be read to you as well. So that's the quiz. And then I mentioned those little training tutorials. So this one's asking the students to design a spacesuit, a cat spacesuit. But instead of it being kind of free design, where the students are learning to kind of put in shapes in 3D and build a design solution to something, it's actually prompting them on what to do. So step one is add a capsule. So, and you can see it showing the students where that is. So you just have to click on it and it will go, well done, that's a match. Now choose a colour. And it's telling you to select grey. That's a match. But by playing these games where you follow the steps, you're learning about the tools that are inside this app and teaching you what to do, because now you're learning to actually rotate. So if you've got older students, there's a lot of mathematics going on when students use Maker's Empire. You can do very precise design, or you can just manipulate it in the space without knowing anything about angles or measurements or things like that. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities for students to develop their spatial awareness skills, etc. So the way the challenge course works is they do the video, the quiz, and the training tutorial, and then that repeats itself. So there's another video, quiz, and training, and they work through. So it might take them a few weeks, and then they will finally get to the open-ended design challenge. And this is where they take everything they've learnt through the content of the videos, through the quizzes, through the practice of designing, through the pro training, and this is where they get to make something themselves. So they have to, their design challenge for this challenge course is to do this. Design a toy or gadget for someone your age who is moving to Mars. So that's their challenge. They have to design a toy or gadget for someone their age moving to Mars, and they use the design thinking steps to help them. So by working through all of those videos, they'll have lots of knowledge about what life on Mars is like, about how it would be different living away from your family and living in space. They'll have all the information at their fingertips to help them come up with a design solution here. And this is where they get to design themselves. So this is our 3D platform. And I've already put 2 shapes in, and there are other shapes I could add just by clicking on them. I can change colours. I can select other shapes, and we have an enormous amount of shape packs. So if I decided I wanted to pop in a wheel to go on something, I can select those. And this is where the students can get really creative and design their solutions. And the idea behind this final design thinking challenge is they'll come up with a design here, which is their first prototype. They will have perhaps worked in pairs or in groups to think about what that design solution might be. They design it in here, and then what we're encouraging them to do is to seek feedback about their prototype, to really use that rich design thinking process to say, how can I make this better? Who do I need to share it with to see what's not working and how I can make improvements to it? So I've got to test it out, I've got to get feedback, and I've got to improve my design. So they can go back week after week and continue to work on their design until they make something pretty spectacular. All right. And I've just leveled up because I've done a bit of design work, and leveling up gives me as the student or the teacher more tokens, and the more tokens I have, the more shapes I can purchase inside that app, etc. So kids will need to be able to level up, and the more they play, the more they do. So that is, in a nutshell, what these challenge courses look like. Are there any questions around those? I know I'm whizzing through things here, so please feel free to ask questions as I'm going through. So I might just jump back to the web page. So that was in student work challenge courses. And the only other thing I wanted to show you in here was in resources. do go into your resources tab, because there's an enormous amount of things in here as well. If you are very new to design thinking, and you want to understand what design thinking looks like in a classroom, then I recommend you going to the video section in the resources. And at the bottom here, you can browse a whole lot of videos that teachers have made in different year levels where they've used a really rich design thinking process to solve a problem in their school or in their community or in their classroom. And it shows some of the design thinking processes that the teachers have gone through with the students, getting them to work in teams, etc. So I would recommend having a look at those. Just take you back.
Karen, we did just have one question, and
Sure.
hopefully I've answered it, but you might have some more insight. If a teacher is teaching year 10 students, in the challenge courses under the filter, it came up with 2 options for there. Were there any other ones that you thought might be good to recommend?
There should be more than 2. Certainly the Makers Empire app is main audience has been 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds, but because we've developed now the advanced module, which in the app is a more sophisticated CAD type program. I'll just take you back to show you that. We're developing more resources for years 7 to 10. So I'll just show you, if you wanted to come in here and just do free design rather than going to the challenge courses, you would click on this Create tab here at the top, and that will bring up 3 platforms for designing. And Shaper and Blocker are what primary school age children would use. The advanced module is closer to something like Fusion 360, like the more sophisticated CAD programs where you design in 2D and then extrude your shapes. So knowing that, we go back to the dashboard. Where's my dashboard? Here. And I will go to the student work challenge courses available. Go to 7 to 10. You should get these. Strong Structures is for 3 to 7, Frozen Land. So some of them go to 7 to 9, some of them go to 7, some of them go to 8. I've got extras here that you wouldn't be seeing because some of them are project-based things. Definitely you should see 2 challenge courses that we've recently developed around using the advanced module. Because this is a new feature in Makers Empire, we've built these, and it kind of walks the students through how to build a house or how to build a stapler, but using the features of the advanced module. So that would be a great place to start if your students are new. Some of the challenge courses like climate change are very adaptable to older students as well, because that's a sophisticated, complex concept to explore. They could start here, but then the resources that you would give them would take them further in their research. But it's definitely an area where we're sort of expanding because it's not been our targeted area in the past. It's quite new to us to sort of develop more for that kind of 7 to 10 range. Does that answer the question?
Hopefully that has for Travis.
Okay. All right, I'm just really mindful of time. So what I wanted to do now is just jump back to my PowerPoint and show you sort of some ways that you might integrate across curriculum and how that works. Just jump into here. Just jump through, sorry. There's our design thinking process that we use, so we'll get to that afterwards. Sorry. Remind me to show you the showcase feature if I get time. These are the videos that I mentioned, and we have all sorts of printable resources that you can access from our resources button as well. So all of this will be in the PowerPoint when you get that afterwards. So if we take something like Space to Dream, which was the challenge course I used as a demonstration, the Commissioner's Space to Dream, inside there are a whole lot of, inside the teacher guide and inside the teacher dashboard, you'll be able to see all of the curriculum links, but it sits across curriculum, and most of the challenge courses do. So yes, they will hit design and tech, obviously, because anytime you use Maker's Empire, you're going to be doing design thinking and you're going to be using digital tools. So you're going to be hitting the design and tech curriculum really strongly. But Space to Dream also sits really comfortably in maths, because students are learning about, measurements and scale. It sits in science because they're learning about life on other planets and the influence of science and how science exploration and space exploration helps inform life on Earth. And they have to predict things and test things. So they'll be doing a lot of science. It hits HAS because it's looking at kind of life decisions that you have to make if you are moving to another planet. It hits the arts because they make models when they do Maker's Empire. You can make it with natural materials and you can make it in the app. It hits health because they're looking at the impact of space on people's health. When you're in space, what happens to your bone density, what happens to your muscle mass, etc. So you can see that by doing one challenge course, you're actually cutting across a lot of curriculum areas. Of course, it addresses a range of capabilities, skills, and dispositions across the curriculum. So every challenge course will invite some critical thinking. Students have to solve problems. They have to, make some decisions about what they choose to prototype and test and what they choose not to, how to work with other people, how to change their design to improve it. Lots of creative thinking, because we're trying to encourage the students to come up with a design solution that's original and unique, that nobody's come up with before. This is where our creative thinkers are going to help solve our world problems. We need students who can think outside the square and think in really creative ways. And that includes crazy ideas that often turn into our best design solutions that we have. There'll be lots of numeracy, lots of space, especially in the area of spatial awareness, but there's lots of number work and geometry and measuring, lots of digital literacy, of course, and problem solving, building resilience. Students are encouraged to stay on a design for a long time and to seek feedback, and some of that will be more disconfirming feedback about what's not working and how they can improve their design to make it better. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is, if just through doing one challenge course, you'll be able to hit a lot of areas of the curriculum and a lot of those really essential capabilities, skills, and dispositions that students are going to need in their daily lives. You can, when you work through a challenge course, watch the videos together and have really rich classroom discussion and debate. And then they can move back to their own devices and then work through them in pairs or individually as well. But there's lots of opportunity to gather and stop at certain points through the challenge course and really use it as a rich classroom discussion point. When they get to that open-ended design challenge at the end, I would really encourage you to get the students to work collaboratively in teams to try and solve that problem. They still might go back to their own devices and each design a prototype, but they've worked together to do the thinking around that, to brainstorm possibilities and then go back and try things and then come back and give each other feedback, etc. And if you're not quite sure how to visualize that in your classroom, then watch some of those videos and you'll get some really clever ideas about how teachers do that in a classroom setting. And of course, because it's a project-based approach, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to observe your students, to look at the way they go about their process of design thinking. How do they manage their project? How do they manage their time? How do they demonstrate learner agency and make those decisions for themselves? How do they negotiate with the people in their team? So there's huge potential to take this learning into a really deep place if you wanted to. And of course, in the Australian curriculum, it fits really comfortably in our design and technologies curriculum. And what I love about that framework is that at the centre, at its core, it's all about creating solutions and how we do that to make our world better. And that means thinking. So if you have a look at the space around the creating solutions, what we're saying is the way to achieve that is through thinking, through design thinking, through systems thinking, through computational thinking. And we get that right, then we can, and set systems in place, we can, make our world better. And of course, it cuts across all of our general capabilities. So as I mentioned, you'll have opportunities for all of these things to happen. The design thinking process sits really comfortably in the Australian curriculum, of course, and we use this model that you can see on screen, but it aligns perfectly to the Australian curriculum, which is why we really, really like this model. So the language in the Australian curriculum, is around investigating and defining, which is our empathising and defining stage. Then they're designing, so they're coming up with ideas, and that we call ideating. Then they'll produce and implement something, which is our prototyping stage. And then they'll evaluate it, which is our testing stage. And then overarching all of that is collaboration and management. So what I wanted to show you now very quickly is, because I'm aware that I need to finish shortly, is I'm really keen to get your input on something. So I've got all of the current challenge courses that we have created so far mapped against year levels and also against the areas of the curriculum. So you can see the K to 2 and 3 to 4 there. Just leave that there for a second. And you can see some areas of the curriculum have got more challenge courses than others. And what I'm keen to hear from you is what you'd like to see next, because if we get teacher feedback that says, I really want you to create a mathematics challenge course around this, then we can, because we're in the sort of process of designing for the future. So your input can shape what resources we create. So that's our K to 2 and our 3 to 4. And then this is what we've got for 5 to 6 and 7 to 10. And you will get a copy of this so you can sort of have a closer look, but you can see at a glance where the emphasis is at the moment. And we can create short ones that are something you do in 1 to 2 lessons, or we can create long courses, which are kind of like units of work that last over a term. And I'm super keen to hear from you people about any ideas you have for future challenge courses. So perhaps Abigail, they could put that in the chat, or they can put their mics on and share with me if they've got a great idea now, if there's something they'd love to see. I'm just really mindful of time. I've probably talked enough. I was potentially going to share some how you can use teacher missions and how you can use our daily challenges, but I do realise it's 4:30 and people probably need to go. Unless there's a few that want to stay on, I'm happy to share that. What I will putting up on the screen that you can see now is how to contact us and how to get extra help if you are using Maker's Empire. Our help articles are really comprehensive. So I would recommend having a look at those, and you can type in questions and it will give you responses. Other than that, I'd like to say thank you. And yeah, over to you if there's any other questions.